Hello there and a very good evening. This is Primetime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Dasnia Fowler, along with our interpreter, Brian De Cruz. Let's start off with a look at your headlines tonight.
A new program to care for COVID-19 patients at home. Direct phone line 1390 launched to coordinate the program. Field Marshal Sarat Fonseca raises red flags over national security. Why aren't individuals who dredged the Tisavava illegally being arrested? Pahiyangala Anandasagara Thera raises concerns. Aggravating shortage of fertilizer continues to plague farmers.
In your top story tonight, a new program to care for COVID-19 patients at home began today.
The new program was launched under the auspices of Minister of Health Paitravani Arachi, and a new direct phone line 1390 was introduced to coordinate the program. Based on the information of the COVID-19 patients received via this number, they will be segregated under the supervision of the Divisional Medical Officer of Health. The Ministry of Health said that asymptomatic patients and patients who only show mild symptoms will be directed to be taken care at their homes until they can be transferred to a suitable hospital. The Ministry of Health pointed out that under this program, at-risk patients above the age of 60 who suffer with various other complications can be prioritized when allocating space to them at hospitals. Patients who are being taken care of at home will be inspected by a team of specialist doctors over the phone. The Ministry of Health said that a team of over 400 specialist doctors are supporting this program.
We handled the first wave of COVID-19 well. We controlled the second wave well, and by the start of the month of April, we had limited the number of daily cases to about 100, and no COVID-19 cases were reported in a majority of the districts at this time. We are hoping to bring the country to a point where we can even travel around the country without a mask. Also, as a country and a government, we must prepare to take care of patients if the number of COVID-19 cases in Sri Lanka overwhelms the hospital capacity of the country. We as a government are ready to provide these patients with the medical advice and support that they need.
The administration of the second dose of the AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine among those above the age of 70 within the Colombo municipality limits commenced today.
Chief Health Officer of the Colombo Municipal Council, Dr. Ruan Vijayamuni, said that close to 10,500 patients are to be inoculated under the program. He says those eligible to receive the vaccine have been informed about the date, time and venue via SMS or a phone call. Dr. Ruan Vijayamuni said that residents of North Colombo and Central Colombo will be given the vaccine at the Sugadadasa Outdoor Stadium. Residents of Borella, East Colombo and West Colombo will be given the vaccine at the Situmina Reception Hall in Kirulapana. Steps have also been taken to transfer the remaining stocks of AstraZeneca vaccine from the possession of the Divisional Medical Officers of Health to the Central Vaccine Storage Facility of the Ministry of Health. Director General of Health Services Dr. Asela Gunawarthana said that about 11,000 remaining vaccines have been sent to the Ministry of Health. He added that 10,000 vials of those vaccines had been handed over to officials of the Colombo Municipal Council for the vaccination of residents of the municipality above the age of 70. We are to receive 3 types of approved vaccines for emergency usage in the coming 2 weeks. We will receive the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines from the United States and the Sinovac vaccine. Our plan is to administer at least 1 dose to people who are above the age of 60 by the second week of July. We will also receive 2 million vials of the Sinopharm vaccine.
While the news on the vaccination program in the country is reported, the Kahaturu Medical Officer for Health, Dr. Danuka Padmaraja, confirmed today that a person who tested for COVID-19 in Jayaliyagama Polgasovita was classified as one of the Delta variant prevalent in India.
After a patient with the Delta COVID variant was reported from this area yesterday, we mobilized immediately to commence contact tracing. We were able to conduct more than 100 random PCR tests in the area. Also, we instructed the locals to remain at home.
However, the Ministry of Health said it was unaware of the detection of a COVID-19 patient with the Delta variant from Polgasovita.
I do not know whether the laboratory that carried out gene sequencing has informed the MOH directly. We didn't receive such information.
Earlier, 5 people tested positive for the Delta COVID-19 variant from Dematakoda, and thereafter another case was detected from Madiwala.
In your latest COVID-19 update, with 1,210 new COVID-19 cases reported today, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country has increased to 254,828. 2,251 patients recovered from the virus today, and the total number of recoveries in the country has now increased to 221,249.
The project to manufacture the Chinese Sinovac vaccine in Sri Lanka and the price non-disclosure clause in the agreement has become a subject of discussion in the country. Responding to these matters, the Chinese embassy in Colombo in a tweet said, and I quote, "Non-disclosure agreements are a common and an important feature of the procurement process for pharmaceutical companies across the world. Sinopharm, Sinovac, Pfizer, Moderna all impose NDAs and penalties in their deals with buyers," end quote. According to the agreement with the Chinese manufacturers, if the price in the agreement is disclosed or spoken of in public, it will be grounds for the termination of the agreement. The agreement also stipulates that a guaranteed purchase order with a minimum purchase order of 13 million doses of the vaccine must be placed. According to the terms, payment for the first 3 million doses will have to be made in advance, and the payment for the remaining 10 million doses will have to be made in the form of irrevocable letters of credit. Although the Chinese embassy stated that the non-disclosure of price is a common practice, the price of all previous doses of vaccine imported to Sri Lanka were made public by the State Pharmaceutical Corporation. According to those figures, a vial of the Chinese Sinopharm vaccine was purchased at $15 each. Details coming to light have indicated that the same vaccine was sold to other countries in the region at a lower price. Shah Ali Farhad, the special assistant to the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, revealed that a vial of the Sinopharm vaccine was sold to Bangladesh at $10 each. Responding to that, Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka said that the procurement agreement between Bangladesh and the manufacturers of the Sinopharm vaccine had not been concluded. After this incident, the agreement for the sale of vaccines to Nepal from China contained a non-disclosure clause barring any party from revealing the price of the vaccine. The Kathmandu Post today revealed that this requirement is contrary to the country's procurement procedure. However, the newspaper reported that the agreement with the non-disclosure clause was given the nod via special cabinet approval. The Kathmandu Post reported that just like Bangladesh, the vaccine was sold at a price of $10 to Nepal as well. The Kathmandu Post reported that the sale of the vaccine to Sri Lanka at a higher price than to Bangladesh would have prompted the non-disclosure clause for the price in the agreement with Nepal.
This is a serious condition. Over 130 million rupees of taxpayer money from the treasury of this country is being paid to the Chinese company manufacturing this vaccine. The people of this country have a right to know how much was spent on importing these stocks of vaccines. Before this, the Sinopharm vaccine also sparked controversy. It was reported that this vaccine was sold to Bangladesh at $10 and that we had purchased it at $15 a dose. So the people of this country had to bear an additional $5 per dose per vaccine. These are also concerns of mismanagement of funds in purchasing vaccines in this country.
මේ රටේ ජනතාවට දරා ගන්න සිදු වුණා. මේ එන්නත් වල බරපතල මූල්‍යමය අකටයුතුකම් සිද්ධ වෙනවා කියන ප්‍රශ්නකුත් දැන් පැන නැගලා තිබෙනවා.
Do your online shopping with Sambole.lk. Home delivery and pickup now available.
Sambole.lk.
Also in local news, farmers in many parts of the island staged protests today as well, demanding solutions for the fertilizer crisis.
Vegetable farmers and tea planters in Haputalagama Diyatalava organized a protest demanding fertilizer.
This is an inhumane act. How can we survive? Regardless of who is running the country, we need to survive. This government is boasting of the things they have done after they have forced the farmers to step out to the streets. We educated our children through this. We made ends meet through this. If the rulers of this country cannot understand it, we know how to seek answers for it.
Another protest was organised in Sapugolla, Uvaparnagama today. This protest was carried out in Damagolla, Uvaparnagama, Valimada. Residents of Pahalakadrugama Diyatalava who plant ornamental flowers engaged in a protest as well. This protest, demanding solutions for the fertilizer crisis in the country, was held in Nochiagama.
While farmers in Sri Lanka have been severely affected by the fertilizer crisis, protests were held in many areas today over a number of issues, including the shortage of fertilizer and the increase in the prices of fuel. A group of opposition members of the Yatinura Pradesh Sabha engaged in a protest from Pilimatalawa to the Yatinura Pradesh Sabha premises. The councillors raised their voice against the fertilizer issue and the increase in fuel prices.
With increasing fuel prices, we know that the price of everything from roast bread to bakery products is going up. These are the things that the innocent people in the village consume. This government has become a government led by millionaire ministers from these air-conditioned rooms. They do not understand the plight of the people.
A group of opposition members attended the Pradesh Sabha meeting today carrying placards. A group of opposition councillors of the Mavatagam Pradesh Sabha also staged the protest in Mavatagam today.
Today we have come to a point where we are unable to ride a push bicycle. In the history of Sri Lanka, fuel prices have not gone up by such an amount. We hope that this fuel price would be reduced if the great Basil Rajapaksa comes into parliament on the 6th.
The protest, which was held opposite the Kegol Central Market this morning, was organised by a group of supporters of the Samagi Janabalavegaya.
We have a problem regarding the hunger that the people in this country are feeling. There is a problem with education. This government is failing in all that it's doing. As the people's government, can they continue to act in such a manner for their own satisfaction?
Earlier today, farmers staged a protest in front of the Nugawala Agrarian Services Centre in Panduasnura, as well as the Kanogama Agrarian Services Centre, demanding a solution to the fertilizer crisis and a reduction in the cost of living.
Now is not the time for the people of this country to hear fairy tales. These are the realities on the ground. Because of the fertilizer issue, our agriculture has crumbled. The farmer and the fisher folk have had their activities disrupted and poverty is on the rise.
කෑම ටික කන්න බැරිව ගත කරන දරිද්‍රතාවය, ඉහළ යන ජීවන වියදම, වැඩි කරපු ඉන්ධන මිල, මෙන්න මේ කාරණා තමයි මහ පොළොවේ තියෙන යථාර්ථය.
Meanwhile, civil and political activists emphasized that those who engaged in the excavation of the Tissa Maharama tank were in violation of the country's laws and should be arrested.
The excavation of the Tissa Maharama well has been suspended as the contractors had not received the approval of the Archaeological Department. In addition to violating the Archaeological Act, Chinese nationals dressed in military camouflage uniforms were also seen at the site.
It was a wrong decision taken in violation of the archaeological ordinance, even threatening national security. In particular, according to the Archaeological Act, those who have committed such acts cannot be released immediately, and states that bail cannot be granted for 2 to 5 years. As per the law, these people have engaged in such an act and so should be arrested immediately. Yes, I think it is definitely the Chinese army that came in. Our army has the machinery to do that kind of work. The country's money is being squandered. That money will go to whoever, because our present government deals a lot with the big businessmen in that country. Then we have to come to such decisions. The Chinese do not come here to meditate. They do not come here because there is no space in that country. They have such a big country and yet they insist on coming here.
තිස්ස මහරාමයේ ප්‍රදේශයේ වැවක් පිළිසකරණය කිරීම සඳහා හමුදා නිල ඇඳුමට සමාන හමුදා කැලෑ නිල ඇඳුමට සමාන නිල ඇඳුමකින් සැරසුණු චීන ජාතිකයන් පිරිසක් ඒ කාර්යය නිරත වුණා. මේ තත්ත්වය කොහොමද මේ දකින්නේ? ඒක සාමාන්‍යයෙන්
The repairs to that weather have been handed over to a local company who in turn are working with a Chinese entity. The attire the Chinese workers were seen wearing was what they usually wear and is similar to a military uniform. The Director General of Archaeology has issued an order to suspend work and we are currently adhering to it. The National Aquaculture Development Authority has commenced investigations into a sea cucumber hatchery on the island of Kodimune, Puwarasan in Kilinochchi. Meanwhile, representatives of the China-Sri Lanka joint venture, which owns a sea cucumber hatchery, visited the Kilinochchi office of the National Aquaculture Development Authority today. The group met with the Northern Provincial Assistant Director of the National Aquaculture Development Authority.
This is we also very sorry about the recently that the news report say Guilan company was function sea cucumber farming agriculture with no legal license. We are feeling very sorry, but actually we have some verbal agreement with the society. Only thing is during the knockdown situation, our official submission of the paper for get legal approved be had.
We inquired on the matter from the Director General of the National Aquaculture Development Authority, P. Nimal Chandaratna. Chandaratna stated that the Chinese-Sri Lankan joint venture had obtained permission to run a seed depository but had not obtained permission to run a sea cucumber hatchery. While broad discussions regarding Sri Lanka's relations with China are ongoing, America and Japan are engaged in joint naval exercises in Trincomalee. The sea phase of the Cooperation Afloat Readiness and Training or CARAT 21 exercise began off Trincomalee today. Sri Lanka Navy's offshore patrol vessels SLNS Sayurala and Gajabahu took part in the exercises. The United States 7th Fleet augmented the exercise with USS Charleston, a littoral combat ship, and its shipborne helicopter also participated in the operations. JMSDF ship Yugiri, a destroyer and a shipborne helicopter from the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force also took part in the exercises. The Sri Lanka Air Force is also participating.
India has successfully test-fired the nuclear-capable Agni Prime ballistic missile, a more advanced version of the Agni class of missiles, from a location off the Odisha coast this morning. A statement by the Defence Research and Development Organisation said the successful test, which began at 10:55 a.m, was a textbook launch and took place at the testing facility on Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Island. The Agni Prime missile is a next-generation nuclear-capable weapon made fully of a composite material. According to the Defence Research and Development Organisation, Agni Prime is a canisterized missile with a range of 1,000 to 2,000 kilometers.
Meanwhile, the Indian naval ship Sarvekshak has initiated its operation to survey the MV Express Pearl wreckage area for the safety of navigation and to observe the damage caused to the marine ecosystem. The Indian hydrographic survey ship INS Sarvekshak would assist in the survey efforts being undertaken in the vicinity of the ill-fated Express Pearl and in the maritime area stretching from Panadura to Negombo. Carcasses of turtles, dolphins and other marine creatures continue to wash up on the shores around the island. The carcass of a turtle had washed up on the Kaikabala coast in Indurua. Another carcass of a turtle had washed up on the coast of Mount Lavinia. This is a carcass of an olive ridley sea turtle. The carcass of the turtle was spotted on the coast near Beruwala police station. A special discussion took place in the Presidential Secretariat today to discuss the future plans regarding the MV Express Pearl disaster. Definitely we expect their support. This disaster was unexpected. We have called for reports in a weekly basis. But we did not have such a plan when we were struck by the tsunami back then. But now we have a plan for this.
The Archdiocese Committee to Seek Justice for the Victims of the Easter Sunday attacks convened a media briefing today.
ජනාධිපතිතුමා ජාතිය අමතා කරපු ප්‍රකාශය දී අපි දැක්ක අපේට ඇහුණා එතුමා ඒ ප්‍රකාශය ආරම්භ කරන්නේ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය ගැන සඳහන් කරමින්.
We saw the president beginning his address to the nation by speaking about the April 21st attacks. He said that ensuring that national security is established was what the people expected him to do. It was based on that promise that he was elected as the president. During that entire address, we did not hear the president speaking about how he plans on delivering justice to the victims of the attack. The recommendation submitted by the Presidential Commission that inquired into the April 21st attacks has also not been implemented. The former Attorney General had made a statement that there is a conspiracy behind this attack. Investigations must be conducted into what this conspiracy is and who are the people behind them. We are in doubt as to whether delivering justice to the victims of the April 21st attacks is a priority of this government. If these conspirators and masterminds behind this attack are still free, they have an opportunity to try and accomplish their goals. If that is the case, then how can we say that national security has been established?
මේ කුමන්ත්‍රණය මොකක්ද කියන එක. ඒ කුමන්ත්‍රණයට පිටුපස්සේ ඉන්න පුද්ගලයන් කවුද කියන එක පිළිබඳව අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම විමර්ශන සිදුවිය යුතු පවතිනවා. අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා මේ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරයේ පිළිබඳ වින්දිතයන්ට යුක්තිය සාධාරණත්වය ඉටු කිරීම ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ රජයේ ප්‍රමුඛතාවයක් නෙමෙයිද කියන එක. ඒ කුමන්ත්‍රණකරුවන් මේ මහකුණකරුවන් නිදහසේ තාමත් සිටිනවා නම් ඒ අයගේ පරමාර්ථ තවදුරටත් ඉෂ්ට කර ගැනීමේ පුළුවන්කම අනාගතයේදී තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපි කොහොමද කියන්නේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව දැන් සහතික වෙලා තියෙනවා කියලා.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Samagijana Balavegaya, Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, also expressed his views on national security at a media briefing held today.
What is national security?
When we speak about national security, we consider the security of our motherland first of all. The great resource we have is the ocean. The security we have there is important. Also the lives of the people.
The April 21st attack.
The government came into power claiming they will find the mastermind behind the April 21st attacks. That is where this government should have started national security. But we see that the government is still trying to buy time by arresting a few people who were caught in the past and prosecuting them, labeling one or two of them as masterminds. But that process has not happened properly either.
Restructuring security and public safety.
It was said that the intelligence services were restructured, and that is a blatant lie. Appointing one or two of those who are known to them does not imply that the intelligence and the army would be strengthened. What we have in a small country, and for the better part of 2000 years, we have protected this country with our lives. What we have is a small country, and for the better part of 2000 years, we have protected this country with our lives. What we see is a time in which that this land, which countless thousands sacrificed their lives to protect, is being divided into pieces and being sold off to foreigners. We saw in the seas that within a short period of time, 2 vessels caught fire. According to people who are knowledgeable on the subject, we can assume that these incidents were planned. The people's lives have to be protected. There has to be protection for their livelihoods. The government spoke of compensation, but they have failed to speak about how this is going to the hands of the public. On the other hand, can we be happy about the lives of the people given the impact on the environment? Innocent people in Ridhimalayadda are protesting. Innocent people in Ridhimalayadda are protesting, saying that the road leading to the village has not been constructed in a proper manner. What happened then? The chairman of the Pradesh Sabha attacks the people with his thugs. Then there is no security for the people. They claim that they control the underworld, but we saw how there was a kidnapping in Hangwalla a few days ago. They chained him, shot him and threw him into the Kalani River. Is the underworld really destroyed?
Steps for the future.
Is the CID now part of the underworld? We need to remind those officials not to think they can get away with doing all these things, as we will come back to power. At the time, we will take necessary action against the unethical people in the CID. How did they abduct Asela Sampath, a man who stayed at home with his wife and daughter? Around 20 people jumped into his house at night and grabbed the man without even letting him wear a shirt and dragged him away as if they were going to catch Prabhakaran. We will definitely take necessary steps in the future against the officers who do these things. To the foreigners who are intending to destroy our motherland, be it the foreigners or businessmen waiting to plunder the resources of our country, here is a warning. If the resources of our motherland are plundered, we will definitely take steps against them in the future. We will retrieve the looted property.
Comments on releasing LTTE suspects.
I personally feel those who were miscreants when they were young have now matured enough to marry and have children. As citizens of this country, there is no need for us to live with angst, so it is good to release them. Those who can be rehabilitated within about a year. I suggest they start releasing these former LTT attackers. I remind them to start with Morris, who was the handler of the bomber who targeted me at the army headquarters. If they do so, I will personally go to Alicada and welcome him, and I will take him to Ananda Bhavan and treat him to a meal. When suddenly they decided to release prisoners, it was clear that there was an effort to loosen the noose on GSP+. This was the government throwing in the towel. It is good that this is happening one way or the other.
Due to the suspension of the membership of a number of local government representatives belonging to the United National Party, 74 new members were appointed today to replace them.
The handing over of the appointment letters to the new councillors of the United National Party was held at the Sirikota party headquarters this morning under the patronage of party leader Ranil Wickramasinghe. A group of former ministers and MPs holding party posts also participated in this occasion. It was said back then that all 225 MPs must be thrown to the Diyavanna Oya. Today, the view is a country without politicians is better. Those views are unfair because today solutions for the prevailing issues have not been provided by a party or the government. Keep in mind that we have to work for the people no matter what. We as the United National Party cannot fall to that level. We are an innovative party. The United National Party can provide a solution during these trying times. We must show what our policy is. We cannot allow this government, which formed various political parties all of a sudden and obtained the power in the country, citing that the Sinhalese is in danger, to let this country go into an abyss by halting all the good activities the previous regime carried out. This is the response of MP Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca to the appointment of 74 new members to replace the suspended local government members who supported the Samagi Jana Balawega at the general election. Now those who were rejected by the people are being sworn in to fill the seats. That does not make them public representative. The people continue to remain with those that have been removed. This is how politics work at the regional level. These defeated candidates who are being appointed are the ones who were rejected by the people. Even though they will be paid by the Pradesh Sabha, the people will not accept them. Our party members will not accept them. That is exactly why they can enjoy themselves for the next 8 months or so, but the people will teach them a lesson.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena says reports claiming that he is to take oaths as a government minister in due course are false. In a statement, the former president dismissed these claims, noting that he never made a request from the government for a ministerial portfolio or any other position. The former president added that he has no expectation of being offered any position in government. While political parties continue to engage in debates, what are the real issues faced by the people?
Dimbulagala, Aralaganvila and Kandegama are villages in the Polonnaruwa district. The children here are no different to children living in any part of the country. They have similar ambitions and similar aspirations. But they face a unique problem, and that is the lack of mobile reception in the area. Even the Thero in the village temple are also trying to support the children living in the village by searching for mobile phone signal. The children of the village climb onto the roofs of trees in search of mobile phone signal. In the past, trees were planted in the village for farming. Now they set up tents atop these trees to search for mobile phone signal.
People in this village cannot make their ends meet. There are children who do not even know how to operate the phone. So how are we to educate online?
online class කියන වචනේවත් නොදන්න කුඩා දරුවෝ මෙහි විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් ඉන්නවා. සමහරක් වෙලාවට ඔවුන් දුරකථනයක් මොන වගේද කියලා දැකලා නැති පොඩි කුඩා දරුවෝ ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලන්ට කොහොමද මේ අධ්‍යාපනය ලබා දෙන්නේ?
Meanwhile, Newsfirst learned that there are university students living in this village.
අපි ගෙදර ඉඳන් ගොඩාක් දුර ගෙවාගෙන
We come to this paddy field in the dark. The online classes are at night. They learn with a fire beside them. Elephants come here even though there is an electric fence. So we come in the night and fight off these elephants. We are fighting a battle between life and death.
අලිත් එක්ක යුද්ධ කරනවා. මරණයත් ජීවිතයත් අතර සටනක් තමයි අපි ගෙනියන්නේ මහත්තයෝ.
දැනට ජයවර්ධනපුර විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ පළවෙනි වසරේ තමයි. I'm currently studying in the first year at the Jayawardhanapura University. I'm studying online at the moment. This cannot be done properly with the signal problem in this village. අපිට මේ තියෙන signal ප්‍රශ්නයත් එක්ක
The only thing dampening the dreams of these students is the lack of mobile signals in the area.
The chairman of the Vehicle Lanka company, Harsha De Silva, has responded to allegations levelled against the company by the convener of the Voice Against Corruption, Vasanta Samarasinghe.
මට වාහන 11 කිරීම සඳහා ආයෝජන මණ්ඩලයේ සමග ගිවිසුමක්. ඒ ගිවිසුම 2005 මැයි මාසේ 23 වෙනිදා අත්හිටවනවා කියලා ලිපියක් ආවා.
I have an agreement with the Board of Investment to assemble vehicles. I got a letter saying that this agreement will be revoked on the 23rd of May 2005. I suspended that decision after taking the matter to the Commercial High Court. I express my deep regret at the fact that Vasanta Samarasinghe had made this statement to the public based on an outdated letter. I filed a case at the Supreme Court regarding the assembling of these vehicles. The Supreme Court handed down a decision that directed officials to register 2,250 vehicles that I had assembled over the course of 3 years. But although the judgment was given, it was not implemented. Then, the Minister of Finance at the time, Ravi Karunanayake, presented a cabinet paper. When presenting this cabinet paper in 2016, he said Cabinet of Ministers will permit the registration of these vehicles on the condition that the defamation case I filed must be withdrawn and the case demanding for compensation must also be withdrawn. We withdrew those cases and the cabinet paper was approved. The cabinet paper was presented to implement the judgment of the Supreme Court. I challenged him to come for an open debate with me to prove his point on this matter. Our company has decided to file a defamation case at the district court.
පත්‍රිකාව ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙනවා. එතුමාට මම පුළුවන් නම් අභියෝග කරනවා. ඔය කියන කරුණු අරගෙන ඇවිල්ලා පුළුවන් නම් මාත් එක්ක ඔය කියන දේ ඔප්පු කරන්න විරුද්ධ සංවාදයකට එන්න කියලා. දිසා අධිකරණයේ වන්දු නඩුවක් දාලා එතුමාට විරුද්ධව නීතිමය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගැනීමට අප සමාගමත් අපි තීරණය කළා තියෙනවා.
According to a recent report by Fitch, Sri Lanka's reserves have dropped drastically in comparison to the countries in Asia Pacific in the past 6 months.
According to the report, in the last 6 months, official reserves have risen in most of Asia Pacific's frontier economies. Sri Lanka is the sole exception, with reserves falling to $4 billion by the end of May 2021 from $5.7 billion at the end of 2020. The report adds that bilateral and multilateral financing has helped to support external positions. The report highlights that service export earnings remain affected by the pandemic's impact in burgeoning tourist-oriented economies like Sri Lanka. The governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Professor W.D. Lakshman, issuing a statement, said that at present the focus is managing Sri Lanka's debt service obligations. He adds, in this regard, our gross official reserves remain at $4 billion without considering the standby swap agreement of approximately $1.5 billion with the People's Bank of China. The governor says while there may be short-term fluctuations in this level of foreign reserves in the period ahead due to debt servicing of the government, adequate financing strategies have been lined up to maintain reserves at sufficient levels through inflows to the country. Inflows expected to the central bank include the swap facility of $250 million from the Bangladesh Bank expected in July 2021, SAARC finance swap facility from the Reserve Bank of India of $400 million expected in August 2021, and the special swap facility of $1 billion being negotiated with the Indian counterpart. The governor of the central bank says the private sector entities are expected to raise funds from overseas counterparts, making use of the recent easing of related foreign exchange regulations.
On to an international story that has just made. In sports news, it's cricket. Sri Lanka cricket has suspended 3 cricketers after they admitted to breaching the team's bio-bubble secure concept in Durham last night.
A video had emerged on social media showing the 3 players out in a public place breaching the team's biosecure bubble. Sri Lanka cricket officials called for a report from the team manager about the incident. A statement issued by Sri Lanka Cricket this afternoon stated that the 3 players involved had accepted their mistake. Accordingly, Sri Lanka Cricket has stated that the 3 players involved would be suspended pending a full inquiry and will be flown home immediately from the Tour of England. The statement further stated that the board is viewing the breach as a serious offence and action will be taken following the inquiry. There have been a number of reports of financial irregularities concerning SLC officials. These irregularities were revealed when the cricket authorities were summoned before the COPE to inquire about the forensic audit of Sri Lanka cricket. It is always important to take action against players' disciplinary breaches, but when will the authorities take action against those who are responsible for the serious financial irregularities and improper financial transactions that took place within Sri Lanka cricket?
And that's a wrap of primetime news for tonight. For the News First team, I'm Dasani Athada, along with our interpreter Brian De Cruz and producer Harsha Kumarasinghe. Good night.
මෙවර ශිෂ්‍යත්ව විභාගයට මුහුණ දෙන පුංචි ඔයාලට